Part 1, 9 Bodies in the Snow. The wind off the Montana plains could peel skin. At 2:04 a.m., with the thermometer on his dashboard screaming -25°C, Deputy Ethan Caldwell drove the lonely stretch of frozen county road toward the old Whitaker farm, a place most locals pretended didn't exist. The radio call had been short, more like a breath than a message. Lights, moving, out there. Then silence. No ID. No callback. Ethan didn't like this road. Too many stories. Too many disappearances chalked up to winter wolves, or city hikers who didn't respect the land. But tonight felt different. The snow was wrong, too smooth, too quiet. As if the world were holding its breath. His headlights swept across the rusted mailbox with Whitaker engraved into it. Bullet holes formed a crude smile on the metal. Ethan slowed his cruiser and whispered to himself. Why tonight? He stepped out. The cold slapped him hard enough to steal air from his lungs. Frost bit his eyelashes. Every breath turned to a small cloud that instantly drifted away like it was trying to escape. He saw the lights before he heard anything, flickering, almost pulsing. Flashlight beams? Lanterns? No, fire. Small, deliberate fires in a circle behind the barn. And two figures moving inside that dim halo of orange. Ethan unholstered his pistol and moved slowly, boots crunching loudly in the dead silence. The wind cut off like someone flipped a switch. That's when he smelled it. Rot. Metallic rot. A butcher shop that hadn't seen soap in months. His stomach dropped. He stepped behind a pile of collapsed fencing, raised his head just enough to see. And froze. Noah Whitaker, 65, half his face a melted wax mask of old burned scars, stood shirtless in the snow, steam rising from his skin as he dug into the frozen earth with a rust-crusted spade. Beside him, Caleb Whitaker, his son, thick, pale, eyes filmed over like milk, shoveled with frantic, jerking movements, muttering to himself through cracked lips. At their feet was a pit. Not a grave. A display. Inside the hole lay 11 bodies, not 9, arranged in a perfect circle, heads toward the center, their faces skinned clean, leaving glistening red muscle. Their naked eyes stared up at the sky, frozen mid-terror. Ethan's pulse hammered in his ears. He stepped forward, gun raised. Ronan. Caleb. Step away from the pit now. Both men stopped digging. Slowly, like puppets tugged by invisible strings, they turned toward him. Ronan's charred lips twisted into a cracked smile. Well now, he rasped, voice like gravel dragged on steel, look who came to visit. Christmas came early for us, Deputy Caldwell. Caleb giggled, high-pitched, wrong, and resumed muttering. Ethan caught a few words. 11, but 12 makes the circle, 12 makes the door. Ethan's voice shook despite himself. You're both under arrest. Drop the shovels. Ronan shrugged. He dropped his shovel. Caleb didn't. Ethan took a cautious step. And that's when Caleb moved. Fast. Too fast. A blur of motion, a flash of metal. Ethan's scream ripped through the frozen air. Caleb had swung the flat edge of the shovel at Ethan's hand with monstrous strength, shearing off 3 of his fingers in a spray of blood that steamed as it hit the snow. Ethan collapsed, clutching the mangled stump, his pistol disappearing into the red ice. Caleb jumped on him, pinning him down with shocking force. He smelled like spoiled meat and gasoline. You weren't supposed to be here yet, Caleb hissed, leaning close enough that Ethan saw frost forming in his dead white eyes. But that's okay. You'll be number 12. You'll finish the circle for us. Ronan knelt beside him and began binding Ethan's legs with old rope. His burned cheek split open as he grinned. Don't worry, son. It's not as bad as it looks. You'll be asleep before the freezing takes your lungs. Most folks don't even fight. They just join the others, real peaceful like. Ethan thrashed, kicking snow, blood pouring down his wrist. He tried reaching for the knife on his belt, but Caleb stomped his hand, grinding it into the ice. Ronan whispered. Look at them, Ethan. They are watching you become one of them. Ethan's eyes darted to the pit. 11 raw, eyeless faces stared back, silent judges waiting for their final member. Caleb lifted Ethan by the collar and dragged him toward the hole. "Please," Ethan gasped. "Don't do this." "Oh, this ain't for us," Ronan said cheerfully. "This is tradition. They want their due." "They..." Ethan choked. Ronan only winked with his good eye. Caleb pressed a revolver to Ethan's forehead. "For the 12th, Caleb whispered. Ethan's vision tunneled. The cold dug its teeth into him. This was it. Suddenly, the world erupted in white. Blinding light. Deafening rotors. A roaring windstorm blasted across the field, kicking snow up in spirals. A Black Hawk helicopter dropped out of the night like a descending star. Searchlights pinned Ronan and Caleb in place. "Federal agents," a voice thundered from the sky. "Drop your weapons. Hands where we can see them." Caleb screamed and fired wildly into the air. Ronan lunged for Ethan, grabbing a fistful of his hair. But the night exploded with gunfire. A single suppressed shot, clean, precise, hit Ronan center mass. His body jerked, then folded in the snow, eyes still open, staring at the pit. Caleb froze, dropped the gun, and raised his hands. FBI HRT operatives in white winter camo rushed in, tackling him face first into the snow. Ethan lay trembling, blood pooling beneath him. He barely registered hands grabbing him, lifting him, pressing pressure pads to his hand, wrapping him in thermal blankets. Voices blurred together. "Pulse steady. Get him to the evac point. Jesus Christ, look at the bodies." One agent crouched beside him, adjusting the blanket. "You're safe now, Deputy Caldwell." Ethan's lips were blue. "How did you even know?" The agent hesitated. "We got a call." "No," Ethan whispered. "Someone had to be here. Someone saw." "Not a call," the agent corrected. "A recording. Sent directly to the FBI Mountain District Office." Ethan's pulse slowed as the morphine hit him. "What recording?" The agent looked uneasy. It was a woman's voice. Ethan blinked. "What did she say?" The agent swallowed. "She said, if you don't get to the Whitaker farm in 6 minutes, another officer dies tonight." Ethan tried to sit up, but the blankets and the pain dragged him down. "Who sent it?" he croaked. "We don't know," the agent said. The voice was distorted. Cold. No background noise, no traceable source. Ethan's heartbeat slowed to a heavy, muffled thud-thud-thud. "Someone knew I was here." The agent nodded grimly. Someone knew exactly what was happening before anyone else did. Ethan's eyes drifted toward Ronan's corpse lying by the pit, mouth frozen mid-smile. As the helicopter lifted, Ethan felt the world blur and sway. Just before he passed out, he could have sworn he saw something. In the pit. Among the 11 skinned faces. For a moment, just a moment, he saw One's mouth move. Not open, not scream. Smile. Then everything went black. Part 2, The Crosses on the Plains. The winter of 2018 carved its way across Carbon County, Wyoming like a living thing, gnawing, creeping, hungry. Sheriff Luke Harlan had seen more corpses than Christmas trees in his 30 years on the plains, but something about that December felt wrong. Predatory. As if the snow itself had teeth. The call came at 3:17 a.m. A rancher off Route 120 reported 2 men doing devil business near the old wind turbine farm. Not unusual on its own, meth labs, bored teens, drunk hunters. But the rancher's last words before the line cut stuck in Luke's head. And the girl, they got her strung up. Luke floored the accelerator. The drive out felt endless. Darkness pressed on the cruiser windows like wet cloth. The stars had vanished behind thick clouds, and the road looked like a thin scar carved through a world gone white. As Luke approached the turbines, he killed the headlights and rolled to a stop. The wind howled through the rusted towers, making them groan like dying animals. He stepped into the cold. It hit him like a fist. Then he saw the lights. 2 lanterns burned weakly in the distance, tiny, shaking orbs. Luke's hand hovered over his revolver. He advanced slowly, keeping low. And then the scene revealed itself. He stopped breathing. A young woman, maybe 22 at most, hung suspended between 2 wooden stakes. Her mouth was sewn shut with thick black thread. Her wrists were bound behind her back, shoulders bent unnaturally. Snow dusted her hair like ash. Around her, planted in a perfect circle, stood 7 white wooden crosses, each one inverted, plunged into the snow upside down like they were strangled. On each cross, a human ear was nailed dead center. Fresh. Bleeding. Some still had frost on the lobes. Luke felt bile claw up his throat. 2 men in heavy coats stood on either side of the girl, brothers by the look of it. Pale. Thin. Faces gaunt like famine victims. Their last names weren't Whitaker by bloodline, but by history. Wyoming whispered about the other Whitakers, those who worshipped old things that had no names. One brother held a bone-handled knife, carving shapes into a plank of wood. The other tightened the girl's bindings, humming a tune that didn't sound human. Luke crouched behind a dead turbine base and listened. "She's the 8th, the older brother whispered. "We need 8 tongues. 8 pledges." The younger brother nodded eagerly. "And with the 8th, the door opens." "That's what they said." Luke's skin crawled. The older brother lifted the girl's chin gently. "Do you hear them, sweetheart? They've been watching us. They are close tonight." The girl tried to scream through her sewn mouth. Blood trickled from the corners of her lips. The younger brother raised the knife. Luke didn't think. He acted. "Sheriff's office." "Drop the knife." Both men spun in unison. The older brother lunged toward the girl, yelling, "The tongue! Take the tongue!" Luke fired. The bullet slammed into the older brother's sternum, knocking him backward into the snow. He gasped once and went still, eyes wide, staring up at the dark sky. The younger brother shrieked, a high, inhuman sound, and dove behind a rusted generator. Luke fired again but hit metal. Silence. Snowflakes drifted onto the dead man's open mouth. Luke moved toward the girl carefully. "Easy," he whispered, raising his hands. "I'm getting you down." He cut the bindings, lowering her gently. She trembled violently, her breath hitching through her nose since her mouth couldn't open. When Luke pulled out a pocket knife to cut the stitches, she jerked wildly, shaking her head. "It's okay," Luke murmured. "You safe now." Her eyes, wide, terrified, locked onto his. She slowly moved her head side to side again. Luke hesitated. Why wouldn't she want the stitches cut? Before he could react, a deafening boom rolled across the plains. The wind turbine behind him erupted into fire, metal shrapnel flying like angry hornets. Luke was thrown off his feet, slammed into the snow. The world spun. His ears rang violently. He tasted blood. He crawled to his knees, vision blurry, but saw the truth. The younger brother had blown up his own truck. A suicide escape. Or a sacrifice. The blast wave had shredded the left side of Luke's face. Warm liquid dripped down his cheek. He reached up. His fingers touched ragged, burned skin where his ear had been. Half his left ear was gone. He staggered to his feet. The girl was on her knees, trembling. Luke knelt beside her. "I've got you," he said through clenched teeth. "You're coming home with me." They left the field of crosses behind them, the wind screaming through the ruined turbine frames like laughter. 3 days later, Cody Regional Hospital. Luke sat beside the girl's bed. Her name was Mara Tilling. 22. Nursing student. Kidnapped while driving home from a night shift. Doctors had cut the stitches from her mouth. She still hadn't spoken a word. Luke watched her stare out the window at the endless snow. "Mara," he began softly, "those men, do you know why they chose you?" No answer. "Did you ever see them before? Did they talk to you?" She blinked, slow and mechanical. Luke sighed. You don't have to say anything. But you're safe now. Those bastards won't hurt you again. Mara's hand twitched. Slowly, painfully, she lifted her arm. She placed one trembling finger on the glass window. And she began to trace something in the fog of her breath. Luke leaned closer. For words took shape in shaky, dripping letters. They are still here. A chill crept up Luke's spine. Mara, he whispered, who's still here? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The hospital lights flickered. Once. Twice. On the third flicker, every monitor in the room spiked violently, alarms shrieking. Mara began to cry silent tears. Luke grabbed her hand. Nurse! Someone get in here. Staff rushed in. They tried calming her, sedating her. Her heart rate climbed. 160, 180. 200. Her eyes rolled back. She convulsed. Hold her down, a nurse yelled. Luke tried, but she jolted upright with unnatural strength, staring directly into his eyes. For the first time, her lips parted. The voice that came out did not belong to a 22-year-old girl. A whisper colder than the Wyoming winter. They've been watching you too, Sheriff. Her heart flatlined. The room exploded into chaos. Nurses shouted. Machines wailed. Doctors surged in. Luke stood frozen, Mara's final words burning into his skull. When they finally called time of death, the room fell silent except for the storm outside. Luke stared at her lifeless face. On her forearm, written in her own blood, fresh, smeared, impossible given she'd been restrained, was a sentence. We told you. 8. Luke stumbled backward, throat tight. 8 crosses. 8 ears. 8 tongues. 8 victims. And someone, or something, was still counting. He staggered out of the room, ears ringing, the phantom heat of the explosion still on his skin. The hallway lights flickered again. Just once. But long enough for Luke to see a tall, black silhouette standing at the far end of the corridor. Still. Watching. When the light steadied, it was gone. Luke pressed his palm to his ruined left ear and whispered to himself. Whatever you are. I'm not done with you. He didn't know then, not yet, that this was only one thread in a much larger nightmare. A nightmare that would not fully reveal itself until 3 years later. And by then, it would already be too late. Part 3, The Man Who Wasn't There. By the winter of 2021, Deputy Noah Whitaker had learned that the plains of Bighorn County, Wyoming had 2 kinds of silence, the natural kind, and the kind that felt like a throat closing. This winter had the second kind. The first incident happened on a Tuesday. Routine patrol. Snow so thick it looked like the world had been erased. Noah was cruising along the fence line near the abandoned Claremont sawmill when his dashboard radio crackled to life. Static first. Then. His own voice. Unit 3, respond, God, please. Noah frowned. I didn't transmit, he muttered, lifting the radio. The voice continued, identical to his own but panicked. He's behind me, I can't. The transmission cut. Noah pulled over, heart hammering so hard it shook the steering wheel. Dispatch, this is Deputy Whitaker, he said. I just got. Static swallowed his words. Then he saw the headlights. Behind him. A black vehicle. Perfectly still. No engine noise. No tire crunch. No exhaust breath in the cold. A black, glossy sedan, not a model he recognized, idling without idling. Noah stepped out, hand on his holster. Sheriff's office, he called. You all right in there? No answer. He took one careful step forward. The headlights snapped off. And the car vanished. Not drove away. Not turned. Vanished. Like someone erased it with a pencil. Noah stood frozen, the cold working its way into his chest like a parasite. His breath fogged once, twice. Then he saw movement in his cruiser's side mirror. A shape. A silhouette. His silhouette. Someone sat in the back seat. Noah spun, gun drawn. Nothing. The back seat was empty. But in the mirror, the shape was still there. Sitting. Watching. Unblinking. Noah climbed back into the car, slammed the door, locked it, and drove without looking at any mirror again. 2 weeks later. Calls had spiked across the northern ranchlands. Animal carcasses found arranged in spirals in the snow. Barn doors ripped off like paper. Old ranchers whispering about the Whitaker legacy and the Watchers returning. Noah didn't believe in generational curses. But he believed in patterns. And this winter, the pattern was looking back at him. The call that broke him came at 1:02 a.m. "Deputy? It's Mrs. Davison. Someone's in my house." Her voice trembled. Noah responded immediately. Mrs. Davison was 86, half-blind, lived alone. Tough as an old boot, but even tough boots crack. He arrived to find the front door hanging open. Snow blowing across the hardwood floor. "Mrs. Davison," he called. "It's Noah. Where are you?" Silence. His flashlight beam swept over shattered picture frames, a toppled lamp. No signs of robbery. No struggle. Then he saw the trail. Small drops at first. A bead here, a bead there. Blood. It led to the kitchen. He moved slowly, breathing shallow. "Mrs. Davison, talk to me." When he turned the corner, his stomach seized. She lay on her back. Eyes open. Neck twisted. Chest carved open with razor-sharp precision, each cut deliberate, letters formed down her sternum like someone writing a message on a chalkboard. A message carved into her flesh. "You were supposed to die that night." Noah stumbled backward, bile rising. His vision blurred. His breath came fast and ragged. He dropped to his knees beside her, hands shaking uncontrollably. God, oh God. Something moved in the hall. Noah jerked his gun toward the noise. "Show yourself." Footsteps echoed. Slow. Bare. Wet. Then nothing. He ran out of the house, slipping in the snow, gasping for air like a drowning man. The cold didn't bite anymore. He couldn't feel anything. Mrs. Davison hadn't died instantly. The blood on the floor told him that. Whoever did this had taken their time. Whoever did this knew him. The message proved it. 3 days later. Noah didn't sleep. Couldn't. Every mirror showed something wrong. A shadow behind him. His reflection smiling when he wasn't. His lips moving out of sync with his own voice. He covered the mirrors. Then he covered the windows. Then he started seeing faces reflected in spoons, chrome doorknobs, puddles. He told himself it was exhaustion. But the truth was colder. Someone, or something, had marked him. On the night of January 2nd, at 3:03 a.m., he stopped on a deserted stretch of Route 14A, unable to drive anymore. His thoughts buzzed like hornets. Snow fell in thick, silent sheets. Then a pair of headlights crept over the ridge. A man stepped out of a black SUV, grizzled, leather jacket, unfiltered cigarette hanging from chapped lips. Special Agent Malcolm Graves. FBI veteran. Man with more scars than friends. He approached Noah with the calm of someone who'd seen much worse and kept going. "Deputy," Graves said, exhaling smoke into the freezing air, "you're a hard man to catch." Noah blinked. "Agent Graves. Why are you here?" Graves took a long drag. "Because you're not the only survivor of a Whitaker incident." He flicked ash into the snow. "And because you're the only one they haven't finished with." Noah's breath hitched. "They? You mean the Whitakers?" Graves shook his head. "The Whitakers stopped being human a long time ago. What's wearing their faces now, Those things are older than this land. Noah stared at him, trembling. Then, what do they want from me? Graves handed him a small silver pistol, loaded with bullets etched in symbols Noah didn't recognize. You're marked, Graves said simply. They are circling back to finish the hunt. Noah swallowed hard. Why give me this? Because the thing that's been protecting you, Graves paused, searching Noah's eyes, is turning on you. Noah's throat tightened. What thing? Graves took out a cassette tape. Old. Weathered. The label smeared. This was mailed to my office yesterday, Graves said. No return address. Wyoming postmark. He pressed it into Noah's palm. You need to hear it. Noah slid the tape into his cruiser's ancient cassette deck. Static filled the cabin. Then a voice emerged. A woman's voice. Cold. Clear. Unmistakable. His wife. Emily. Who had supposedly died 4 years ago in a fiery car crash on the I-25. No, Noah whispered. No, this isn't, she's gone. Graves said nothing. The tape continued. Noah, if you're hearing this, it means they've found you. I've kept them away for as long as I can. But I can't hold them back anymore. Noah pressed trembling fingers to his lips. Emily had the same cadence, the same soft rasp on her consonants. They want you for the same reason they wanted the others. You were supposed to die with them. That night. In the crash. Noah's blood ran ice cold. Emily had been driving when their SUV hit black ice. He had survived. She hadn't. But now. They took my shape so I could protect you. But the bargain is ending. They want me back. And they want you with me. The tape clicked off. Silence. Noah doubled over, choking on a sob. Emily. Alive? Dead? Borrowed by something else? Graves leaned against the cruiser. Son, whatever she became, whatever used her voice, she kept you alive. But the circle's closing now. He pointed at Noah's rearview mirror. You need to look. Noah shook his head violently. No. No, I know what I'll see. Look. Graves' tone brokered no argument. Noah forced himself to turn his head. Slowly. Very slowly. The rearview mirror reflected the empty back seat. Then. Something leaned forward into view.